Yeah, joining us now, Toni Angelini. She is a senior communications spokesperson for Job Creators Network. She's also an owner of three businesses and a burgeoning restaurant in New Jersey. So she checks all the boxes: business owner, and runs a store, runs a cleaners, runs a restaurant. So she's got it all down, and she's in New Jersey, which is, of course, we were there for a week, still on lockdown with that whack job governor they got. And this segment is brought to you by the Job Creators Network and the Job Creators Network Foundation and their new campaign, Flatten the Fear. Go to flattenthefear.com, flattenthefear.com, and check that out. We got to get consumer demand back. Toni, thanks for your patience. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning, John. Thank you for having me.
By the way, just say on the air, I love my time in Spring Lake that Friday a couple weeks ago at your cleaners. I really enjoyed it. The guests were fantastic. I learned so much, and you and your husband John and your son helping us out, bringing us food. Your employees, that was a fabulous experience. Thank you.
We're still talking about it here, so you left a great impression on everybody. Very happy to do it.
Well, I have to come back, and plus, even when everything was shut down, you own a restaurant. And, of course, everybody that travels with me knows I'm no stranger to the utensil. I like to eat. And so I was well taken care of by your husband bringing in all that food. I still tell my wife, I said, okay, the meatloaf they made, I don't know how they made it, was like the best meatloaf I've ever had. I had it like 3 times. Finally, they were like, don't you want the steak? Don't you want the chicken? Don't you? No, I just have the meatloaf. I don't know how you guys make
meatloaf.
I love your meatloaf. Anyway, let's not talk about food. What is going on in New Jersey? You can't. There's no flatten the fear in New Jersey because it's still under lockdown. What is the deal with Governor Murphy? When are you guys going to be able to live?
No time soon, apparently. He did come out, and I guess I should give him credit where it is due. He did lift our stay-at-home order about 48 hours ago. We had technically still been under that, although he claims he's starting to slowly open the state. Shockingly, he's allowing for large gatherings outside if you're protesting. What happened here in Jersey was over the weekend, our governor, who had been preaching from on high that you had to wear masks everywhere you went and you had to maintain 6 feet and you couldn't be in large groups. He was photographed at 2 different protests over the weekend, and the hypocrisy was basically handed to him on a silver platter. I don't think he was left with a choice but to lift the stay-at-home order and to try and backtrack a little bit and say that if you are protesting something under the First Amendment, then that's fine. You're not going to catch coronavirus if you're out protesting something that is really important to you. However, you can't sit inside a restaurant. He made it crystal clear that he hopes to have guidance for indoor dining sooner rather than later. However, the date that he will allow indoor dining, even at 25% capacity, will not necessarily be sooner rather than later. Those are his words. I'm essentially paraphrasing, but it's close to a quote. There's no guidance. There's no direction whatsoever.
He's just going to keep businesses closed until they go bankrupt.
I think
that's his goal, right?
Point,
just bankrupt every small business in New Jersey.
At this point, I don't see what the alternative really is. There was some breaking news late last night out of Asbury Park, my beloved Asbury Park. The town council and mayor did unanimously vote to allow for indoor dining at 25% capacity. And to her credit, the mayor, it's technically nonpartisan in Asbury Park, but she did run as a Democrat previously on a couple of times. So I think it's well documented that she is, in fact, of Governor Murphy's political persuasion. Mayor Amy Quinn came out and said, if you can allow people to gather indoors at 25% capacity, then why can't you gather inside a restaurant? We do have home rule here in Jersey, so while the city of Asbury Park will not be implementing any fines or persecuting businesses for restaurants for operating, unfortunately, the state does still have some kind of authority where they might be able to come in and shut a restaurant down. So it's unclear what the legalities of that. I'm sure someone with much better knowledge of the legal system than I have will work that out today. But now these towns are left to go rogue. That's all we have left.
You go rogue, and then they come in like Murphy did. They shut off your water. They shut off your electricity. They pull your liquor license and they handcuff you. I mean, but yet, thousands of people can protest in Newark and Patterson and Elizabeth and Trenton. Thousands of them can protest, and he can protest with them. But that's fine. So I guess if you get a couple of banners, protest banners, put them up outside your restaurant, open it up for a business, and say you're having a rally, I guess, and that's fine. I mean, this is the absurdity of this. It's beyond. Again, I had one of our guests on earlier from Florida, Carlos
Gazatua. Yes, he's a Job Creators Network advocate.
Yeah.
Great
member,
advocate.
Had him on, member Job Creators Network, and he's trying to argue this logically, and I just had to stop him. I'm like, Carlos, you live in Florida. You have there's some semblance of logic going on with your governor there. You get out of Florida, there's no logic here, right? Nothing makes any sense. It's just basically politics. So what about schools? Is he going to open up schools in New Jersey?
He has not said what he's going to do in schools. I have to tell you, your governor coming out this week really makes me very uneasy that Governor Murphy may follow suit. We have a little bit more time here in Jersey. We don't traditionally begin the school year until after Labor Day. So, the clock is certainly ticking on him making a decision, but I have to tell you that amongst my network of folks, one of the things that's been floated around is that you'll be required to send your child to school with a mask. And I have not heard one parent say, "Oh, sure, I'll send my kid with a mask." People are really having a hard time trying to figure out what the fall is going to look like, whether or not there will be sports in the fall. There are really drastic financial implications for many families. If a kid is counting on a scholarship because they play a sport and they're unable to get that scholarship, I mean, this is stuff that's going to impact people's lives for the duration. And it's really unfortunate that these governors they have basically instituted a level of fear to the point where people are paralyzed and afraid to leave their homes. But as long as they are doing something that they feel is right, then it's okay. You can go out and protest in New Jersey. You just can't have a graduation for your senior in high school. And that's why Job Creators Network launched the Flatten the Fear campaign, because we understand why people are confused. You're looking at your elected officials and you don't know who to believe. You don't know where to turn. So our Flatten the Fear campaign at Job Creators Network is actually based on dozens and dozens of doctors that we have in the fold who are talking about how to safely and effectively open the states back up, allow the economy to run, allow children to be in school, but do it in a way that we're protecting the most vulnerable of our population. But let everybody else get out there.
We just had Chap Peterson on, and he had a town hall meeting. He's a state senator here in Virginia, and he had one parent constituent said, "Well, what if I don't? What if I'm afraid to send my child to school that they might get sick?" And he had the perfect answer. He said, "Well, you have the right in Virginia to homeschool them." I mean, that's the answer. Like, if you don't want to send your child to school, don't. But everybody else that wants to has a right to an education. You're paying the taxes. You own a home and 3 businesses. All the property taxes are going to the school system. So you have a daughter in high school, and this is the other thing. Now they're going to tell your daughter what to wear. So say your daughter says, "Hey, Mom, I'm not wearing a mask. I'm just not doing it." What happens?
I'll be very curious to find out, and I will be one of those parents that finds out pretty quickly, because I don't, if they can figure out a way, if you have a teacher that needs protection, protect the teacher. But it has been proven time and time and again that the high school population has not been impacted by COVID. You saw the World Health Organization just came out and said if you're asymptomatic, it's very rare that you're going to spread. They're trying to sort of walk that back because of the ramifications of that statement. But the truth is slowly starting to come out. COVID was the super spreaders, the complete fear that they instituted, and all of us in the beginning. It's the curtain is being pulled back, and we're finally starting to see the reality. And the reality is that your children can be in school safely. You can shop at your local small businesses, and you can get back out there safely and effectively without being afraid. To learn more about this, you can visit flattenthefear.com, our project at Job Creators Network. I encourage everybody to look at it and to learn the science and to appreciate that in the beginning, we all said if what we need to do as a nation is to shut down and protect people, get the hospital systems ready. We were all on board. We all did that. We made that sacrifice.
That's right.
But as time has gone on, the science is now being backfilled, and we are learning about the reality of what has happened and the implications of a continued shutdown and the economic devastation that's going to occur is ultimately very potentially going to be more damaging and more deadly than COVID-19 ever was.
And your campaign, Flatten the Fear, I mean, it's not only based on consumer demand, people getting out. It's based on reopening up businesses, getting rid of the lockdowns. But the bedrock of it right now that we're discussing is education. I mean, we have to go to flattenthefear.com, education. Because once Northam, basically in Virginia, and you nailed it. He likes to be the first one so he can go have a beer with his crackpot friends that kept him in office. So he's the first one. He's basically, to this day, 5 days later, we have no idea if we're going to school or not. We have no idea. People think we're not. So again, the fear now is costing kids a legitimate education. That should be frightening to every parent in America. And students.
It absolutely should be. And there's a mental health aspect to this as well.
Oh,
and that's the reason that Flatten the Fear is based on medical professionals' advice. They'll be the first to tell you that the mental health aspect that this is having on our children, on these kids, my daughter specifically, you mentioned, my incoming freshman, avid soccer player. It's her whole life. She loves it. She lives for it. And now she doesn't know if she's going to have a season to show up to in the fall. And I've seen my confident, overly intelligent 14-year-old become a child who is insecure and unsure of what she's doing and where she's going, all because of COVID-19.
So she's an incoming freshman, plays soccer, high-grade player, probably wants to play in college. That's getting stripped from her.
It sure is. It sure is. And I don't have any answers for her. And it's really difficult to try and explain it to her when there's no science. There's no rational reason that these children cannot be in school. And our campaign has medical doctors. You don't have to listen to me. I'm just a mom, but we have doctors who are certainly well-versed in everything that is going on out there publicly talking about the long-term ramifications of the continued shutdown and how they will absolutely, in the long run, supersede the COVID-19 impact.